go straight to the phone line because Mike Zullo is with us. And Mike, thank you so much. Yeah, we bother the fire out of you, but we appreciate how often you're able to make time to be with us. And thank you, Mike. God bless you.
Oh, Carl, no problem. I love your radio show.
Well, I appreciate that. And listen, our listeners love you too, and they really appreciate what you're doing. And the folks on the Gulf Coast, Mike, you and I have them convinced. Now, I'm not trying to be funny or smart alecky here. I've been on this for 6 years, Mike, and it's been a long, slow haul. In the early days, boy, I got tons of calls. I was called all kind of nasty names. I mean, even by some people who used to host programs on this radio station in the past. I mean, people just trashed me. But here in the last year or so, almost all of it has stopped, and now we get tons of calls continually. People get it, Mike. They get it. So our efforts are paying off. But of course, this show goes from coast to coast, and we have a huge national audience. But I would dare say the vast majority of them get it, and they're very appreciative of what you're doing. So thank you for spending so much time with us. Well, Mike, listen, I'm going to let you talk because they want to hear from you. Catch us up. I know you've been to Washington again. I know there are some possible connections being made with another important government official, with a congressman that you're hooked up with. I know the World Tribune just came out with a blockbuster article about this entire investigation. I believe there's another publication coming out with an article soon. Tell us the very latest. Tell us what's going on.
Well, obviously, Carl, I can't disclose a lot of information, but, like our Sheriff Arpaio has said, we are trying to move this thing forward. He's given me the authorization to do whatever I need to do to advance this to a congressional level, and that's what I'm doing. I am taking any opportunity I can, meeting Congress people anywhere I can. If I have to go to Washington, home states, whatever it's going to take. And recently, over the 4th of July weekend, I did go out to D.C. again. I had a series of meetings, and one thing that is becoming very, very prevalent in all of these meetings, our congressional leaders do not have a good grasp on what we have been doing here in Arizona for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They have no idea. Sheriff Arpaio had 2 press conferences. They had no idea that he's declared it a forgery. They had no idea we had a court-recognized forensic document examiner validate our findings. They just don't know much about this.
Yeah, and the mainstream media has virtually done a virtual blackout on this information, and I try to explain to people all the time. Now you can give me your theory or correct me if you think I'm wrong on this, Mike. But people ask me all the time, how is it that congressmen don't know about this? And what I tell people is, look, most congressmen are very busy. They put in 10, 12, 15, 16-hour days. They come home, they collapse. What do? They turn on Fox News or CNN or ABC, NBC, CBS, or maybe MSNBC, and they watch what they think is the news. They go on a few favorite internet sites, Drudge, some of these others, and then they call it a day, and they get up and they do it again. I can see, not trying to give a complete pass to our congressmen, but I can see with a mainstream media blackout how so many congressmen may not know much about this at all.
Well, and that's very true. And sitting in these offices, these meetings were going on well into, 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
These people were still working. And I don't want to give them a big pass either, because I think this is a critical issue, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
But they are so inundated every day with people and meetings and information. So I could understand without, the media support, how they could be, in the dark.
Right.
But it's time for them to get into the light.
Yes, it is. Let's take a call, because we've got a caller by the name of Cheryl who I think wants to ask a question about the congressman and why they don't know, et cetera. So, Cheryl, welcome to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. You have a question for Mike Zullo.
First off, I am so honored to be able to be on the radio with him, with all of y'all.
Well, it's our honor to have you, and so thank you. But go ahead. You want to talk to Mike, so let me hush. Go ahead.
Yes. My congresswoman is Kay Granger, and I have been trying to get her to just contact you to look at the evidence. I mean, just what you can see. She's old enough to know that if she looked at that certificate of live birth, that the term African was not a legitimate term in 1961. It's false on its face, and she's old enough to know that. And I actually recorded a conversation, a 45-second conversation today, where after having left a message to, again, look at the information and contact Mr. Zullo or Sheriff Joe Arpaio, and she has refused to do that. I'd love to play that real quick. It's about a 45-second thing to hear her response. It's not Kay Granger's response, but it's the person that works in her office.
Okay, if we can get a good sound quality, try it. If it's no more than 45 seconds, let's try it.
Cheryl, how can I help you?
Hi, who am I speaking with, please?
This is Maddie.
Hi, Maddie.
And I appreciate your phone call. We're not going to be taking any meetings, though, and I just wanted to let you know that, okay?
You're not doing what now?
We're not going to be taking any meetings with the man that you referenced on your phone call last week, or this week, excuse me.
And why is that?
We're just choosing not to do that, but I do appreciate you calling again, okay?
Tell me again your name. Maddie, M-A-T-T-I-E?
Yes.
Okay, and this is Congresswoman Kay Granger's office, the Fort Worth office.
Yes, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Ma'am?
So you just got hung up on, Mike. Go ahead.
Here's the rest
July
of it.
12th, 2013. The time is 9:50 a.m. That was 817-338-0909.
Okay. Thanks, Cheryl. All right, Cheryl, did you have something else you wanted to say so we can let Mike talk? Cheryl?
Yes.
Did you have something else you wanted to ask or say so that we can let Mike Zullo respond to all of this?
Well, like I say, I'm doing everything I can. What else can I do? I've called senators, congressmen, everything I can to get this information. I've published the affidavit. Right. I've tried everything I can. This is a misprision of treason and misprision of felony, it looks like to me.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl.
So
Mike, do you want to address that?
Well, I don't think that's an uncommon response. I never heard one as
ugly,
ferocious as that one. But, look, I think that tells you a lot. I mean, here is a Republican, I believe she is, a representative of Texas. Yeah. And that seems to be the attitude. But as fate would have it, I am going to Texas tomorrow. Uh-huh. So we'll see what happens over there. But, this starts to say a lot. Yeah. And here's the problem. Yeah. Our voices are silenced because our elected officials choose to turn a deaf ear and a blind eye. Yeah. And we are going to have to collectively get together and change that.
Listen, that response she got, the same kind of responses I have gotten from my Congressman Jeff Miller and his Chief of Staff, Dan McFall, either by email or over the phone, just like that, just as ferocious, just as mean-spirited. And these guys are Republicans, supposedly. And Mike, I know that's got to be frustrating for you and Sheriff Arpaio. It certainly has been for me. You're sitting there on top of the biggest criminal case in the history of the United States, one of the biggest frauds ever perpetrated against this nation, maybe in the world, as far as governments go and top leaders of governments. You're sitting on it. It's signed off on by forensics evidence and affidavits and 40-page affidavits and so much more evidence that we can't give over the radio. You've got it. And this is the kind of response we get from the people who are supposed to be representing us. At the very least, Mike, they could at least look at the evidence, like this Kay Granger. She could at least listen to you and look at it. But no, she just slammed the phone down in the ear of her constituent.
Yeah, and I think they're afraid to. And, there's one way you rectify this. You change them.
That's right.
I don't know when she comes up for re-election, but I know a number of them do in 14. And, there's an easy way to change a lot of this. You start putting in God-fearing constitutionalists in numbers, and you will change the direction of this country.
Right. Let's take another phone call, then we got to take a break. Vince, welcome to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. Thank you for hanging on. You're on the line with Lieutenant Mike Zullo, so ask your question, Vince. Vince, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
I thank you so much for your guys' work that you've been doing on this.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I have a question. Is it possible to petition thousands of signatures for the citizen's arrest of Obama on grounds of his illegitimacy and usurpation?
Thank you, Vince. What do you say to that, Mike?
I don't think that's a possibility, and I don't think it's a good idea. We have to be very careful, and what you are battling here is a media perception of anybody supporting this effort or moving on this effort as being a lunatic or a wingnut. Mm-hmm. You don't want to appear that way. Mm-hmm. I think the best thing to do at this time, and I've been saying this and I get a lot of pushback on this, keep your powder dry. We're going to try to figure out a way that we can get this voice heard.
Right.
And when we have the ability and the logistics in place, you'll hear it on this radio show on what we think we can do.
Right.
But I also want to tell you, please be patient.
Yeah.
I mean, I am trying to do what I can to keep you informed as much as I can, but I'm going to tell you, this is going to take a little time now. We're starting to get into the higher echelons of government, and we have to get cooperation.
Yeah.
So please don't be thinking that something's going to happen here in 2 weeks, because I'm going to tell you that won't happen.
Right.
But Carl, if I can, we have advanced this further than anyone has ever advanced.
That's right. That's right.
We have to be cautious moving forward.
That's right, absolutely, and a lot of the pushback that we're getting, that you're getting, is this complete shutdown and people's lack of information, even high government officials. But then the other part we're getting is like this Kay Granger and Jeff Miller and others who do know something about it, but for whatever nefarious reason, I think it's nefarious, they're choosing to not deal with it at all. So, but we are making inroads. We are making contact. You were in Washington on Monday meeting with a very high-level government official. We've been in contact. Steve Stockman out of Texas is wanting to meet with you and has already met with you, and so things are happening, but we're asking people to be patient. Let's take a break, Mike. When we come back, we'll have more, and folks, we'll take your phone calls too. 623-1330, area code 850. Those of you that are on the line, please hang on.